Hello and welcome to the Retail Journey podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Charles Greathouse.
And I'm James Harris. And today we're talking to Jill Wagar, who is the director of the Momentary and senior director at Crystal Bridges. Crystal Bridges is a museum of modern American art, and the Momentary is designed as a platform for today's art, food, and music.
That's right.
Welcome to the Retail Journey, Jill.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
So you've been with the Momentary since it opened, and you've been with Crystal Bridges for a lot longer than that.
Yes, I joined the Crystal Bridges team about 14 years ago. So just almost a year before it opened to the public. And so it was such a journey to be able to see this come from an idea into a reality. And then the same with the Momentary several years later.
That's pretty cool. And I mean, Crystal Bridges, we've gotten kind of used to it now.
Yeah.
But when it opened, it was immediately a top 4 museum in the entire country.
Well, here's what I would say. What you think you know about Crystal Bridges is changing.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the expansion is just enormous.
We are expanding Crystal Bridges by 100,000 square feet.
Wow.
And it'll open in 2026. And it's going to just revolutionize kind of the way that one experiences the museum. So, okay, this is a great story. So our founder, Alice Walton, had was thinking about the expansion in the future. Oftentimes you see buildings that have multiple architects that have designed the buildings and they kind of don't fit together. Mm-hmm. So Moshe Safdie is the architect of Crystal Bridges, and Moshe and Alice are good friends. And she was thinking, okay, if we ever expand Crystal Bridges, I want it to be by Moshe's design. So he's in his 80s. So she called him and said, would you come down and would you go and design the 50-year plan for Crystal Bridges? So if you're not here, I'm not here, it can still happen by the teams. Happy to do it. He did it. She loved it so much. She said, I think we should be able to, you and I should get to see this. So let's do it in 5 years.
I love it.
So we're doing the 50
years, 5 years.
50 years. So Sam Walton, it was always, considered the maverick. And I will tell you that he's passed that trait on to his family.
Oh, I love that. Love that so much. And you were there at the very beginning of Crystal Bridges.
Yes.
I've heard multiple times on my many visits there some of the origin story, the uniqueness about some of the property characteristics, the water that's flowing through. Mm-hmm. Would you mind a short version of the space that Crystal Bridges sits in and some of the unique stories about it?
Yeah. That's a really great question. The acreage that Crystal Bridges sits on was part of the Walton family land when Alice and her brothers were growing up. So it was the backyard to Sam and Helen. And it was a very wooded forest with just in a ravine with a little stream going through it. And when they were thinking about where should we place the museum in this space, it was a dream to be able to do something on this land for the public, almost as a gift back to the community that helped with the Waltons. It's close proximity to downtown Bentonville because you can walk. Yep. It just made sense. So we were thinking let's put the museum up on the bluff that overlooks the water. You don't want to put art and water together, right?
Fair.
Moshe Safdie came in and said, no, let's put it right down here in this middle of this ravine and let's create these ponds. And so there's a natural spring on our property called Crystal Springs. That's the namesake for the museum and also the water source there. But during the building process, we had to divert the water to go underground. So we'd have a dry construction bed. And so all sorts of things. And then we found a lot, Arkansas is very cavernous. And so we found a lot of caves. It extended our building time by probably a year because we were having to fill these caverns to make sure that the museum was going to be on solid footing.
I remember there being a
future.
delay. I didn't know the reason for it. That's interesting.
There's a lot of concrete and steel involved in a building of that structure.
A lot.
And wood and copper. And it's just... It's still something I can't not stare at when I'm, riding a bike up the greenway next to it.
It really is striking. One of the builders told me that there's more concrete in Crystal Bridges than in the Sears Tower.
Oh.
So,
oh my goodness!
Driven by those caves.
I don't know that that's been fact checked.
Yeah. But a fun idea to behold, and that's before the 100,000 square foot.
That's
expansion.
right. That's right.
Which will bring the total square footage to what?
300 and change.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of change and development with Crystal Bridges, the Momentary. Have you been in Northwest Arkansas for longer than the 14 years?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of change
Oh,
in that
yeah.
period of
Oh
time.
my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
It's a different place than what it used to be. And when our kids are both live out of state and when they come to visit, they want to drive around to see what's changed since the last time that they were here. And sometimes there's
Always something.
some of those corners in town are just hardly recognizable anymore.
You don't have to drive far. My kids, who are 8 and 6, love the big cranes. And so thank you to Crystal Bridges, the
More
Momentary,
cranes per capita than any other
Alice
place,
Walton
probably.
Medical School, Amazium. There's a lot of
lot going on.
interconnected organizations that people might not know are all part of what Alice Walton
Yeah.
has brought to this community. Do you mind giving us a 30,000 foot
Yeah.
view of the things that are coming out of that group?
Yeah, sure. So Alice is passionate about a lot of things. Art, first, and was kind of one of her first passions here in the community. Created Crystal Bridges. It was her nieces and nephews. It was Tom, Olivia, and Stuart who created the Momentary, which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
So the Momentary.
There's another good space story about the Momentary.
There is. So the Momentary Crystal Bridges are the same organization. They're the same 501c3, just 2 locations with different purposes.
Yeah.
But Alice also has some other passions that she really wants to help the community and the country with. So within kind of an umbrella of Alice's organizations, she's created Art Bridges, which is a 501c3 foundation that the essential way to say it is to help get art into places in the country that don't have access to art. So it's the idea of bringing like the art that she helped to bring to Bentonville that didn't have art here. Where are the other areas in the country that need that? So it loans art to different places throughout the country.
That's
Get
beautiful.
art out of storage, get it into public view. So the Art Bridges Foundation is one of her initiatives. The other is that we see being built is the Alice Walton School of Medicine.
Yeah.
And it is a gorgeous building that has a green roof that you're going to be able to walk on top of the way that it's built there. It's under construction. It'll be finished late next year, I think is the estimated timeline. They're accepting their first class of students right now to be able to start in the fall. Obviously not in the building, but offsite, and then they'll move into the building.
I saw a LinkedIn post this week of some sort of number of hours until classes begin. And that shocked me. I was like, well, it's already here.
Did you know that for the first 5 years, tuition is free?
I did not.
For the first 5 years, tuition to medical school is free.
Wow.
And it is,
Wow.
it's amazing. You can imagine the number of applicants that they've had.
Sure.
So, okay. And so then, and also in the healthcare space is the Heartland Whole Health Institute. And so I would say the mission of Heartland Whole Health is to change the way that healthcare is delivered in the United States.
Yeah.
No big,
That's no big deal.
no big deal.
No special interest there.
Yes, a special interest, but really focusing on being proactive about health rather than reactive, which is really the way that our healthcare system operates today.
100%.
And then there's also the Alice Walton Foundation, which is a philanthropic arm that she gives her giving through.
Wow.
It's a lot.
I mean, you can do a lot of things when you have passion. You can do a lot of things when you have resources. And I, as a beneficiary of really many of the Walton family's passions and resources, thank you. Oh my gosh. Like this area has so many incredible things in Northwest Arkansas that the MSA doesn't deserve, so to speak, or the MSA wouldn't be as big or as growing as it is if the investments weren't here.
Right.
From mountain biking to a medical school that's going to be front edge, and whole health is a topic near and dear to my heart for sure.
I am inspired every single day by the vision the family has.
Yeah.
And thinking about Alice specifically, she has really big ideas, and she's the first one to say, but I don't know how to accomplish it. And she went, she says, I have to bring smart people around me who can help accomplish this vision. And she is so grateful for everyone who has embraced it, from the people who are working with it, the community that's embracing the projects that she's doing. It's just really, that family is so humble and so remarkable. And I too am very grateful for what they're doing.
Yeah. So, to our audience, if you're listening, hopefully we just sound the same and sound great. If you're watching, we're in a new space today. We're actually at the High Impact office today. I thought I'd just acknowledge that. Welcome to our office here in North Walton, off of North Walton Boulevard,
home away from home
in Bentonville. Yes, bit of a home away from home. And behind you, which won't be on camera, are 4 basic values. Take ownership, strive for excellence. Selfless service is one that keeps triggering me as something that truly matters to the Walton family, and is a characteristic that we've just sort of grown up in, and certainly have formed this company around that kind of idea. The last one is people matter, because at the end of the day, it's not about the widget. It's about the people that it serves. It's the people you get to serve with and collaborate
businesses
with.
are people businesses.
Yeah, for sure. So when you work with a company that's very purpose driven, can you tell us, sort of what those values are across that organization?
You really, the root of who we are at Crystal Bridges and the Momentary, it's about access. So it's about access to art. It's about access to ideas, to things. And that one could just be that is physically located here, that you can get to it. But also the museum is free.
Yeah. Amen.
It is absolutely free. And that's because of a gift from Walmart, who underwrote our admission. We really wanted there to never be any barrier to access.
Yeah.
So we want people to come. And I'm still surprised at the number of people in this region who say they still haven't been to Crystal Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
That is a shocking oversight for anyone as an individual to have not experienced what Crystal Bridges has to bring.
Well, and speaking of access, you have a school visit program, do you not?
Oh gosh, it's amazing. So in 2024, we brought 60,000 kids to Crystal Bridges on a school field trip.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely free. So we have funding, and we need more of it because we have so many. We're accelerating our kids so much that our funding will pay for a school bus, for a school drive, a bus driver, a substitute teacher back at the school if they need it, a lunch while they're on site.
No barriers.
So there's no barriers to schools or to families. We had the Secretary of Education for Arkansas just recently put his stamp of approval, his seal of approval on our program, which sounds like it's not a lot, but basically what that does is it gives permission, if you will, or advocacy for superintendents and principals and teachers to be able to bring their kids to Crystal Bridges, because what they're learning there is actually a core part of their curriculum.
Yeah.
And with our expansion, we are going to be moving up to having 100,000 kids a year.
Oh my goodness,
Crystal
that's
Bridges.
outstanding.
We have people who drive all the way, drive across the state from other states. It's a huge resource. They're the best. I've shadowed some of the school visits. Those kids, the stuff that they say and come up with, and the insights that they have are remarkable.
No filter.
There's no filter, but also it's very pure.
Yeah.
They don't carry all the things that we carry as adults.
Right.
That change the way that we see something.
Yeah. Or we'll talk about it.
Yes. There are some teenagers that have hands in their pockets, but they usually come out of their shell.
Eventually
They'll come out of their shell.
So a large percentage of the people that listen to or watch our podcast are suppliers, and most of them are in the Northwest Arkansas community. What kind of supplier engagement opportunities are there with Crystal Bridges and the Momentary?
I mean, so many. I think that's probably pretty obvious to see is we have beautiful spaces. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of people who are coming to our space for corporate meetings, for dinners, for entertaining. And so certainly people can come and use our spaces, come to our 11, our restaurant at Crystal Bridges, to eat. And so that's, one way. But we have a lot of really generous suppliers who are wanting to make a difference in arts education and are sponsoring and helping underwrite some of these programs that we're talking about that really impact these kids. And so we're really excited about the way in which a lot of people are coming to help us make a greater impact.
Yeah. I mean, access is a mission I think we can all get behind.
Yeah.
Creating access to things that really open your eyes beyond the situation you might have at home or what it's like in school or in your particular community. To appreciate art, I think changes your worldview.
It absolutely does. There are some kids that have come from some rural areas who their highlight for coming to the museum is they've never been on an elevator before.
Oh, fun.
And,
And that's a cool elevator.
Yeah.
It's a cool elevator.
You got good view.
It's a cool
Yeah.
elevator, but still, I mean, just the way in which you're, changing these kids' lives, the stories that we hear from the kids about the art, it's transformational.
And it isn't just your standard field trip. I have a personal story. I have two brothers. One of them in the fourth grade, he had a teacher that noticed he was doodling on his paper, and it was pretty good. So it was the first time somebody said, "Have you ever thought about art?" And within the year, he's in art lessons, and now every painting that's in this building is done by his hand. Really became kind of a focal point of his life just from one person interjecting, "Have you thought about art?"
Yeah.
Our curators and educators are really focusing on telling stories through the art. So it's not really about the object that you see. It could be, but it's really about what is the story there and the story of America. We're an American art museum, so it's the story of America through the art. So we're able to have curriculum tours that are based on history, based on math, English. I mean, any of the principles. It is this integrated curriculum with art can help with any subject. And it's really, sometimes it's a way that you can break through to students who aren't learning through traditional methods too.
Right. That's beautiful. I'd love to switch gears a little towards the Momentary, where you have some expertise. Same organization as Crystal Bridges, but a very different vibe. Can you tell us about the Momentary?
Yeah, the Momentary was a craft cheese plant that was decommissioned. And as I said, Tom and Olivia and Stuart Walton decided that it would be a really great art space. And so they had an adaptive reuse remodel of the building. It opened in 2020, 3 weeks before the pandemic.
Great timing.
We had this huge splash of an opening, and then we say it's the most awkward beginning ever.
Yeah.
And then,
and then
so many stories like that. Though.
I know.
Such a disruption.
But then during COVID, not a lot of people were coming out. It was new. A lot of people weren't coming there. People didn't gather together in spaces, and so it's been really in the last couple years that people are starting to really discover the Momentary and fall in love. Yeah. So we say the Momentary is a place for music, art, and food. If you have not been to our concert series at the Momentary, you're missing out. It has a very it's a cool vibe. It's more like this hometown. It's like your neighborhood space. It's the production quality and sound quality is some of the best in the world. And we've really invested in that space to have it high quality.
Not your neighborhood speakers.
No,
but
and you're
space.
sitting on the grass and you're sitting on the grass in your own lawn chair.
Yeah.
And it just feels really good.
Yeah.
And so we have an outdoor series that's live on the green. And then we have an indoor series that's in our Roadhouse.
Yeah. I've not been in the Roadhouse yet, but I have seen Brothers Osborne on the green. That was a great show. But something that it was a couple of years ago, the gentleman that cuts one of my son's hair, he was talking while he's cutting his hair, and he goes, next weekend I'm a DJ and I'm doing an act at the Momentary. And I thought it was so cool that somebody who's local, that's got some talent, that there's a place for that to kind of take place, which I grew up in Northwest Arkansas. That didn't exist when I was, high school, college age, unless you played at George's on Dixon or something like that.
We're trying to be able to bring in well-known artists who we want to see, but then also have a space too for the people you're talking about, for some of the local musicians to be able to have a chance to show their talent.
Yeah. Is there anything new in the vein of food, music?
Yeah. So
art coming up?
we have a food program where we have really great dinners. We bring in renowned chefs from across the country and also have local chefs. So we just launched a new food series called Supper Club. And we had the first one this week, and it was a local chef. It's sitting around like a farmhouse style table with family style serving. And you're hearing the chef talk about his recipes and about how his family influenced his recipes, and really talking. And we're hoping we create this really communal community dinner table where people are talking together. And we had a guy in the back playing some records and for the right vibe. And it's a really great experience.
And how do you get involved as a participant with that?
You just go on the website, at themomentary.org, and register, and you can see the upcoming events. The Supper Club is the third Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great time.
And of course, you have to go to the Tower Bar while you're at the Momentary.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to the Tower Bar?
Of course.
It is on on the sixth floor of the Momentary, 360 degrees of glass. It's the best view in Bentonville.
I can attest to that. As an unbiased participant, that is the best view in Bentonville. The last time I was at a Momentary event, I was square dancing in the Red Barn.
Oh, you must have been at Fresh Grass.
I was, and it was a good time.
We have Fresh Grass coming up May 16th and 17th of this year.
Yeah.
And Fresh Grass is bluegrass, Americana music, but also it's this really, I think, wholesome traditions of square dancing and guitar picking, and it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, I think experience is a key word. So
That's
Momentary
exactly what we talk
brings
about.
art, it brings music, brings a supper club. Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
But also the feel of what it's like to be there.
There is this experience. There's been experiential art. People rappelling off the side of this cheese factory.
They are coming back.
They're coming back. Awesome.
From the Momentary's 5th anniversary, which is on February 22nd this year.
Yeah, which is this month. We'll be releasing this in Feb.
The group is called Bandaloop, and they danced off the side of the vertical glass of the tower, and they're coming back to do a performance on February 22nd.
Awesome. And so I love that experience. I also just personally love another one of the gifts of the grandkids, the experience of riding a mountain bike downhill really fast, working with gravity instead of against it. It tends to work against me pretty hard. But when I'm working with it, it's a lot of fun. I also really like music. There's an event coming to the Momentary that might combine these.
Yeah, we're starting a brand new festival. It's called Send It South.
Send It South. Mm-hmm. So Send It is code for what I just described. Harnessing the power of gravity to the fullest extent of your pleasure on a mountain bike.
So Tom Walton, who is the chair of the Momentary Council, says it is winter is the best time to ride bikes because it's cooler weather, it's not too cold, the temperature feels better. So we're having a biking and music festival, Send It South, on February 7th, 8th, and 9th. And the idea is that we're going to have riders coming from especially the northern states where it's cold and they don't want to ride, that they can come down here and ride. And it's the first time that we're doing it, and we're super excited.
That's
and got a great lineup of musicians. Will Dorado is headlining, and several other groups that are coming in.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, it's hard to refer to time on something that's recorded, but that's this weekend. It should be this weekend. This should be coming out that week, and I'm going to be there. No doubt about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We've got to. It's all of the things I love.
Be off brand if you weren't there.
It would be. Awesome. Well, what else is going on? What would you say to someone who's visiting Northwest Arkansas? Walmart has a certain draw. We end up having friends in town from different suppliers, usually for a short period of time. So you're going to be here for a short period of time. What are a couple things you need to make sure you do before you leave town?
Well, you need to come to the Momentary in Crystal Bridges, I would say. I mean, I'll be still here on brand. But I think the whole idea is that they're free. You don't have to spend a lot of money and come and get your money's worth. Pop in, pop out.
Do you need a reservation?
No, you don't need a reservation.
Do you need a membership to show up?
You do not need a membership. Do you need to dress up? No, you just come as you are.
I've been in this this space of working with Walmart, working with suppliers. Most of them aren't necessarily in the area. A large percentage, I'd say at least more than half, have taken time to be at Crystal Bridges. And I haven't heard anybody regret it after the fact.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of time. We have a really great exhibition coming up, opens in March at Crystal Bridges. It's called Cause. And you look it up, KAWS. It's by an artist, Brian Donnelly, and he creates these larger than life kind of cartoon type figures that have really deep meaning, and it's really a fun show that you'll want to bring the family to.
I always feel proud of our community when somebody from New York or LA or San Francisco comes to the area, goes to Crystal Bridges and says, that was amazing, that was world class.
And right now we have an exhibition at the Momentary that is Best in Show, and it's pet photography, and they are beautiful, and some of them are hilarious. And for the first time ever, we're allowing you to bring your leashed pet inside the Momentary to see the exhibition with you.
To avoid breaking hearts and souls around Northwest Arkansas, from what date to what date are you allowed to bring your leashed pup?
Until April 13th.
Oh my goodness. I will be there and I will repeat. Guarantee it.
Yachty.
Yeah, Yachty. I got a new puppy, Gary. He's gonna
Gary. We will look for Gary.
Old Gare. He's a little golden doodle.
We might have a little treat for him when he's leaving.
Oh, it's amazing! What a gift. Anything else you'd like to share before we hop into a lightning round?
Hey, let's go to lightning round.
Okay.
I'm excited.
All right. So we, at least at High Impact, we have this fail fast and frequently kind of mindset. That's how we learn. It's how we get better. So one of your biggest failures that you've learned the most from?
I would say not being prepared when I needed to be. So especially when you're talking to, maybe it's your board, it's your boss, and going in, I've learned you don't go in with a problem, you go in with solutions.
Yeah.
And really taking the time to really get all your facts together, your data together, before you really try to go have an in-depth strategic conversation.
Yeah. This is probably quite a bit earlier in your journey and something you learned from about once. I think for most of us, you feel that experience and
I remember being in front of a group and realizing I didn't do enough prep for this.
I
had to make it through the day, and it doesn't happen more than once.
Oh yeah.
I heard one time someone say that if you have a meeting with your supervisor and there's some things that you want to talk about, that you should spend at least the same amount of time preparing for it as the meeting is.
At least.
Wise counsel. I like that.
Yeah.
What's on your reading list?
Oh, right now, I just got invited to a book club.
Awesome.
And the next one that I'm going to is you're supposed to take a how-to book and talk about just yourself, like one of the how-to books you looked. I was like, I don't know that I've read any how-to books in a while. So right now I am reading Talk Like Ted, like TED Talks.
Like a TED Talk, yeah.
Yeah. So
I know a Ted and I try to talk like him, but that's different. I love it.
Yeah.
And we're new into a new year. What's the one thing when you look back on 24 that was a new learning, an aha?
I would say it was a reminder. So not necessarily something that's new, but that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right.
And really making sure that the culture of your place and of your team feels supported and they have the right culture, or it's going to be harder to be able to create the success that you want in your strategy.
I agree. I think sometimes we confuse vision for strategy. Vision needs to come from the visionary or the visionary group, but the strategy can be a much more organic development, and having the right culture in place really empowers that.
Yeah. I mean, that's an exclamation point on 24, as well as purpose and focus.
Absolutely.
As we go into a successful 25.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jill. This has been fun talking to you and learning a little bit more about Crystal Bridges and Momentary.
Yeah, well, thanks. I really appreciate you having us out. And any suppliers who want to get involved with what we're doing, just give us a call. We'll be happy to help you out. And I'm going to be watching for you at Send It South.
Oh, believe it.
and in Best in Show.
We'll shred some gnar together.
Yeah, and I'll be
And
looking
Supper Club.
for you at the Supper Club and the bar.
That's
I love
right.
it.
So
It's gonna be
great.
great.
You'll find us there, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jill.
And to the listeners, thank you as always for tuning in or watching us on YouTube. You can feel free to like, subscribe, all the things, and we'll see you back here next time. Thanks.